Good evening. Welcome to the Wednesday, October 13th, 2021 Norfolk Conservation Commission meeting. We are live, but we're also doing a hybrid with Zoom. So if anybody at home would like to participate, go to the town website and you'll get the link to get into our meeting. And Rich Mcarthur is handling that portion tonight for us as we introduce our new admin person, Elaine, and glad to have her on board. Okay, the first one is 7 o'clock is 5 Hanover Street. Is anybody here from Hanover Street? Okay, that will be continued until 11/10, the 10th of November, at 7 o'clock. We didn't expect them tonight. Mcarthur Avenue, is anybody here from Mcarthur Avenue?
Oh, do we want to make a motion to move it to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we need a motion to continue 5 Hanover Street to next month.
I'll make a motion that we continue 5 Hanover Street, notice of intent, number 240-0640, until November 10th,
At 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Second?
Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And it passes. Okay, MacArthur Avenue, 0. MacArthur Avenue, anybody here from that? No. I'll take a motion to continue that until the 10th of November at 7:01.
Valstone, I make a motion to move 0 MacArthur Avenue to November 10th, 2021. NOI number 240-0641-2701.
Did you say 10:10 or 11:10?
1110.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's moved. Okay, is somebody from Leland Road here? Okay, yeah, we got a couple minutes, but, because they're at 7:05. We thought we had this down to precise. So there weren't any minutes from last month, correct? Because there wasn't a meeting.
Betsy
We
prepared.
still have to
some.
have minutes saying that we voted to
Oh,
own everything? And, yeah, and those votes.
did you see minutes?
No, I didn't.
We didn't get the minutes. Okay,
No, there were ones that were sent out from 8/11 and 9/8.
Mm-hmm.
Those were them.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
It is October, yeah.
I don't
It
remember
says
getting
it's a
those.
draft. It was on September 27th.
Okay. Did everybody get that? Current members, not the newbies?
It says it's a draft.
Okay.
They were, I mean, they were distributed, I mean, if you want to,
Maybe we'll postpone it and do it next month.
Yeah, she's got the.
Give everybody
the draft
time to
minutes.
read them. Okay, 7:05, let's go to 11 Leland Road. Please introduce yourself.
Russ Waldron, Mackenzie. So this is the Title V septic repair. System going behind the house, behind the land. And, erosion controls, existing tree lines are gonna get pushed back a little bit. And there is an existing cesspool that's gonna be removed as part of the process. No walls are required, the grading is such that they can break out without having to put any sort of retaining wall in or anything like that.
I
So-
can't read the small print up there. Can we blow it up a little bit?
Or do you have a copy that? we-
Or do you have a one you could put in front of us and we'll,
how's that, is that a little better there?
yeah, but this works wonders. How far are you moving the erosion control, or the tree line back?
Well, total square footage is 733 square feet. I don't know exactly how far back it's gone, just inside towards Kingsbury Pond, and then off to the left. It's going up against the hill off to the left, up to the neighbor's house. Grab that. Yeah, the majority of the system is outside the 100-foot. Is that,
Here, it's here.
Yeah,
or half of it is.
yeah,
So it's inside outside the 50.
yeah. So, yeah, you're safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would just need, work with Janet on the type of, area you'd need for the wetlands,
Yeah.
depending on how long it's gonna take, whether you need a temporary one or more permanent one. We're not gonna, if this is gonna take longer than what a temporary one would normally,
We
hold up to.
generally use or spec out the filter mitts.
Yep.
And you just leave those in place,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you think that's sufficient, Janet?
Is that what's shown on this revised plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't, does that show on, is that what they had there, the revised one? Just double checking. Oh, yeah, good for you. You're right on top of things, I like it, thank you.
Did you two see the map? If you could show them, just kind of point out for them, the other members, where the 50-foot line and the 100-foot line is, so we could see that, so we can see that their project is,
This yellow is the 100-foot line.
Yep.
The green is the 50-foot line. And the existing septic, it's a cesspool that we're just removing and getting away from the well
Yeah.
at this point.
so, the reason I asked them is because we want to make sure that all along the 50 towards the project, there's protection for the wetlands. And then also, we'll talk about any material and where the vehicles are gonna go, where the material's gonna be stored, that type of stuff, so that we don't cause any damage to any of the other areas too. We don't get leaching of fines from, storing on a hill that ends up going into the wetlands.
This is a siltation area, right in, that wraps right around here. We brought it past this stone wall. And it's, and they're gonna, the trucks are gonna end up coming up in between the house and this tree line.
Okay.
Doing the work, because this
No.
is coming within
We're-
the buffer zone.
Right.
Okay, now where are you storing the materials, or are they gonna be taken off the lot?
Most of it's gonna be taken off because we had to go deep within this. This system's actually about 5 feet down. We had to go through a waiver through the Board of Health because the outlet is coming out too low, and and we didn't want to cut down the whole backyard.
Yeah,
And there was so much fill. There's about 3 feet of fill over here from way back, from when they actually produced the lot back in the,
okay.
Okay, so that would be something that we'd want included in the order of conditions, is that the material that's not staying is gonna be taken off as you do it, and then, where the actual, that the vehicles are gonna be on the other side of the 100-foot
On the
mark
left
and
side.
not traveling between, that nothing happens on the other side of the 50-foot line.
correct, okay.
We just make
Between
it a
50
habit of
and
having
100.
those included in the orders of condition.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Janet, you have,
If I could, Jim, because I was kind of covering it, or going over with Russ ahead of time, because they're showing, isn't mine nice colored? But, you know, this area back here, and I understand what they need to do, but I would, where this is the tree line, and then they're talking about moving that tree line back, is that just cutting, like, the leaves and the trunks, are they leaving the stumps? Do you know, or will that be something?
I don't know that, because, the actual overdig area falls right next to the tree line. We probably won't have to cut that.
And it was just more of concerns, and I
It's-
understand if you need the room, but it's just more of if it came to where they were pulling out stumps.
yeah, we don't want stump removal.
They might need additional erosion controls just so that until it gets stabilized, it's not sliding downhill, you know?
I could, because really, that line we could pull in this, in that way, because the overdig just hits the tree line.
On what, on this side over
So-
here? Okay.
No, on this side.
Oh, the existing tree
Yes,
line?
the
Oh, okay,
existing.
okay.
I thought that's what you were concerned about.
Okay, so what were you showing, Janet?
I believe she was talking about this tree line
Yeah,
here. Okay, the overdig is just hitting the edge of the tree line.
oh, okay,
That's correct. You know, and when we locate that in the field, we locate the drip edge, okay, more than anything.
okay,
So, we'll end up marking the system out, so nothing.
okay,
So, we'll do that.
okay, yeah, if you would, please. Yeah, so we can keep everything intact if possible.
Okay. And then, you know, one of the major reasons why this barrier was moved out is because we gotta remove this existing,
Right.
cesspool,
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
okay,
Yeah, they need room to do what they need to do out there, you
Correct.
know? Okay, and I was talking to Russ about, you know, they might, who's ever out there, just kind of pay attention, because if it looks like it's getting close or something, maybe just to have additional erosion controls on hand in case they need to install them. I don't know how long it takes to get additional erosion stuff, you know, so maybe if they have a little stockpile on hand in case they need it.
Okay.
Judgment call, you
Yep.
know, when people are working.
thank you. Anything else you want to say, Russ?
That covers it. I'm the biologist.
Ah,
Jimmy's the tech guy.
Anybody, any questions from the commission? Everybody's fine. All right, I will entertain a motion for orders of conditions.
Oh,
What?
if I just, no, if I may, we don't have a, DEP hasn't even.
Oh,
shown
I'm
up.
sorry. Yeah,
I can prepare them for next time.
Yeah.
In hopes that,
let's do it that way. It's taken, what, 3 weeks?
It depends. I
Wow.
think now what he's doing is they're waiting for the check. That's my guess. So sometimes they have them right, sometimes that takes
Hmm,
a while.
okay. So,
The orders, as long as you get the orders, to Janet, everything's flagged properly, everything's, you know, you communicate with Janet, everything's good, and she's got her orders done, then we could vote on them next meeting. If there's a lag where, you know, we don't have a DEP number, or, you know, she's asked for, like we've asked for the mitigating, sleeves, and they're not on the map, or something like that, that's gonna hold us up, because we have to sign and vote on the minutes on the same day, because it's too much time to lapse by the next meeting. So I don't want you to try to let everybody know in advance, so they're not coming and then having to wait another month over something small. So as long as you communicate with Janet, should be good to go for next month.
I'll entertain a motion to continue 11 Leland Road to the 10th of November at 7:05. Your first motion.
Say so moved if you want.
So move, what? No, go again, I'll pay attention, I'll do it next time.
Alex Whiteside, so moved.
Way easier than I thought it was.
Is there a second to that?
Valstone, I second. Oh,
Okay, any other
My moment.
comments, questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll see you at 7:05 next month.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. McCarthy.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, David, did we maybe want to talk with the Eagle Scout project?
Yeah.
So he can get.
Before we get into,
He can do homework?
yeah. Yeah, Tom Laight, why don't you come on up?
Hello. I've come today to propose my Eagle Scout project, which will be to make a new path in the Campbell Forest in town. So some of you may have seen the presentation that I sent. There is a map on there that shows the new path that I want to build, which is off one that's currently already there. A week ago or so, I went into Campbell Forest and plotted where the trail will potentially be with pink markers on the trees. And yeah, that we will cut down, we'll try to leave as much trees as possible, creating a thin footpath, so enough for him to be able to walk through.
Is it, you saw the path?
Yeah, I went and walked the path. So I saw where you had marked off, and walked it.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Is there any wetlands?
No, there were no wetlands in the area.
Okay. When do you expect to start?
I expect to start sometime in the fall. Not sure when it would end yet. Probably sometime early next year, hopefully.
Okay. And if, because you can't use a chainsaw, if a chainsaw is required, you can get a volunteer to help you.
Yeah, they'll be wearing all protective gear and stuff.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, it sounds like a good project, another good path in there. That's, people are using it a lot, and bikers are using it, trail bikers. So, let them have fun, as long as they don't destroy.
David, excuse me, do they need to exchange phone numbers or something? Are you gonna? do
Yeah,
like
Val will
paperwork?
be your liaison with the commission, so if you have any questions or you're at some point in the project and you'd like something checked out, Val will be the person, and he can give you his phone number.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll email you my phone number, so then you can just text me whenever you need to communicate something.
Thank you.
It makes it easier
Yeah.
to have a point of contact
Yeah.
like that. Great. Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept Tom Light's Eagle Scout project in Campbell Forest. Try it.
Margaret Crowe proposes a motion to accept.
It's on the agenda, what his name is,
I forgot.
at the bottom.
Thomas Light's Eagle Scout project in Campbell Forest.
Very good. Good for you.
Is there a second?
Alex Whiteside, second.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. Good luck. We look forward to hearing the progress reports. And when I can walk, I'll check it out myself. I did go down with this
Yeah.
halfway down. Let's see. A quickie, just an administrative thing. We need a rep to the CPC. I've been doing it.
You still want to do it?
Sure.
As so moved.
Yeah, you got it.
When is so moved? That-
I nominate David Curry to represent the Conservation Commission on the Community Preservation Committee.
Is there a second?
Melstone, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, and 6 Valentine Drive, there's no updates from DEP on that, so that stays back. Town of Populatic. Is anybody here? Nope. Who are you with?
78 River.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and take care of you? Do we have a CFC, Janet?
Form ready. No, I didn't, I grabbed, I'll go grab that.
Um, We'll leave all the town stuff at the end.
I don't know if any members have been by to see the site or not. When I think, did I do a separate sheet with pictures, people, grass coming
You did?
in? Good.
Okay, do we have to vote on anything? Or has this been voted on?
No, not voted yet, so you're voting
Okay.
hopefully to either issue a full, if it's, looks stabilized enough where they can remove erosion controls and we're done with them, or if it's a partial to give it more time.
Okay. All right, so 78 River Road. You got the plans, everything's final grading's been done? Okay. And grass coming in?
Yeah. So, with all the rain, so.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to open the hearing on 78 River Road.
Alex Whiteside, so moved.
Second.
Jim Olson, second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Any other discussion on the, we're giving them a full CFC you've got marked?
I know I didn't, that's your decision. whether
Oh,
it's-
okay.
Did I send the sheet of photos to you guys?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So everything's
Just so you know, look at that.
78, no, not of 78 River Road.
A separate sheet, if you, down,
She
please, if
sent
you
it
could
out
pass
in-
that around. Cause the left-hand side was one day when I was there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, beautiful lawn.
Yep.
You come to my office.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, good, thank you, Jim.
Okay. So if we're satisfied with all the information, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing on 78 River Road.
Melstone, I make a motion to close the hearing on 78 River Road.
Second?
Maggie Crowe, seconds.
Any discussion, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. So, accept a motion to provide a CFC for 78 River Road,
A full or a partial?
a full.
Full.
I would entertain that. You can say something different, but it looks like the lawn's been repaired, grass is up, so it's back to normal.
I will make a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for 78 River Road.
Second,
Wilson, second.
further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes.
Need to sign that, right?
Yep. I'm gonna get Bill to.
David, if I can just comment to the gentleman in the back. Sure.
Oh,
If you want, tomorrow morning, you can come by and pick up that form, because then it's gonna have to be recorded up at the registry of deeds, or we can send it out certified mail to you. Yep, anywhere between 9 and 6 p.m. Good, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have an excuse, sorry.
You just have to print your name.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, you wanna make the sheet?
You get there.
Gotta make a few more motions.
Gotta take Al off
No.
this stuff.
Not certain. Okay, sorry.
Not qualified.
I had to print my own names. I mean,
Okay, that's a majority. Yeah, that's a majority. I'm not sure if Alan can sign it. Can he?
I was absent. I don't even know what it was. What is it already?
78 River Road.
Oh, I
they've
know all
done
about it.
The septic and.
Yeah.
He can sign it even though he wasn't here for
Yeah,
the
he-
discussion?
Yep,
So,
Oh, okay.
you know, the lawn.
Thanks for the legal advice.
Sure, here we go.
What's that?
it's a little nerve-wracking signing something you really weren't here to confirm what it is.
Well, I know what the situation is there, it's just, I didn't hear what the finished determination was. Thank you, Jan.
Okay,
Thank you.
the Village Green Enclave, they're looking for a partial certificate of compliance to release 12 housing lots. Is that correct, Janet? 12 or 20?
Whatever's on the form.
What form?
Let me give this one back to. Matt, Elaine's gonna get that. I gotta get everybody's names straight, sorry. Got this one done.
Hold up, Matt, turn up.
That's what I'm doing.
Sox start their series tonight? Friday night. Friday? I believe.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're the streakiest team I've ever seen. Sitting in the kitchen with Christie now, like, what time is it? She says 15 past 7. I says, I'm in trouble. I didn't get a chance to count my sneakers.
Right, run out the door.
Yeah. Kind of a week it's been.
David, here's the form, and those are all the lot numbers.
Okay, yeah.
That's, Jeff.
Okay, so back to, the Enclave. He's looking to release 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 lots. They're all up on, flat area away from the water line, any water issues, wetlands. So, I would accept a motion for a partial release of, or partial certificate of compliance I should say, for the Enclave, Village Greens, I guess the Enclave. Go ahead.
Valstone, so moved.
Seconded.
Whoa,
I'll jump right in there.
okay,
There he is.
there, he's back. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes.
7:30.
And then, the next one is Rockwood Road and Holbrook Street. Do you have a certificate for that?
Yep, that's a certificate of release on an old one.
Do we have the paperwork?
Yep.
Oh, thank you. You. Pass that back. Okay, Rockwood Road and Holbrook Street. Expired ordered of conditions. When did this expire? Oh, it has expired. It was issued on June 22nd, 2005. Okay, so what we're looking to do is a certificate of release on the River's Edge. Right, Janet? That's,
Yeah, I think if you
you
just.
could close it out.
Yeah, if you just read, it's old paperwork that is dangled, it had something to do with the water pipes in the road, and maybe that building on the end that has the businesses in it.
Yeah,
It's old, expired, so we have no more jurisdiction, so it's just to clear
Okay.
up the deed.
yeah, the letter says, "Dear Commissioners, De Placido Development Corp. Requested a certificate of compliance with respect to the order of conditions issued June 22nd, 2005 for the village at River's Edge. All work within the wetlands or resource areas was complete many years ago, including the water main extension from Overlay Road and work within the commercial phase. However, mistakenly, a full release was never requested. In order to eliminate future questions to the Conservation Commission each time a unit sells at the village at River's Edge, I think it's prudent to address this outstanding item and to record a certificate of compliance for the order of conditions. Should you have any questions, please contact me." So,
So Janet, question I have is, so what's happening is, every time a unit goes for sale, they have to come in front of us to get their own certificate of compliance so that they can sell their home. Because right now, they're not all, have all
No,
their work completed.
the other ones though, and Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they probably, did you get paperwork on this before? For the original order conditions for doing that project?
This order can be executed.
Yes, for the record, Tom De Placido Development Corp., the developer of the village at River's Edge. Many years ago, 16 years ago, we did get an order of conditions to extend the water main down Overley Road, Route 115 to bring into site. There was also some work where there was an old driveway that was going into the site, formerly of Norfolk Sand and Gravel, if anybody remembers that. That was eliminated, and we created a nice meadow out of it and things. Other than that, there wasn't other conservation buffer zones or anything else that were encumbered or encroached upon. It's been done for many, many years, and it's just been something that has been outstanding. We did get partial releases of all the lots along the way that were in those buffer zones. So those were taken care of, but every once in a while, as Janet mentions, is a very prudent attorney that does a very diligent title search, comes up with it, and then he questions Janet and interrogates them. That it just creates something that is better off being resolved at this point in time.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. All right, everybody got a concept? Okay, I will entertain a motion for certificate of release for the Enclave. No, River's Edge, I'm sorry, excuse me, River's Edge.
Make a motion that we issue a certificate of release for River's Edge.
Jim
I'll
Wilson, second.
Okay, any other discussions, questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes.
Who seconded that? Was it Jim?
It was Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We need
pass
to
it this
sign.
way. Yeah. And Tom can pick that up tomorrow? Janet?
Yes. Tom, did you want to pick that up tomorrow, or?
Yeah, if I pick up both tomorrow, that's fine.
Super.
Get my record so people can talk that way.
It's always nice when you visit us, Tom.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. What's,
I'm gonna make a
Yeah,
lot.
you could write your name and then sign it on.
10 Old Populatic? What's that about?
We have one more form, though, to sign for 14 Hampton Road,
Yes.
just making you aware before the night's over.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to go back to Old Populatic before we,
But I don't see him here.
okay, then, never mind. Okay, 14 Hampton Road, what do you got?
House went up,
As planned?
single-family
Yep.
house, yep, grass is coming in. That's the one that they have the cement, 4x4, 6x6 cement markers out there.
What are the plaques for?
That, they turned in their plan showing that they were gonna have plaques on top.
And
So it's
what do
like-
the plaques say?
Oh, we have pictures of them. I don't know.
You can really read.
What's that?
You can read that.
Oh, I know.
They were in the email.
I left my monocle at home.
Do you have a good picture or no?
Maybe in the office on my
Okay.
computer.
Okay, we don't have to,
These are the ones they sent over, and then I made a point to go over and just, there's 3 of them out there.
okay,
And I even asked him where he got them from, and when he comes tomorrow, I'm gonna write it down, so I
Okay.
don't keep forgetting. No, this is, oh, are you looking, oh, the.
okay, so I will entertain a motion
No, the
for
folder.
14
Yeah. This is,
Hampton Road, certificate of compliance.
I would suggest, the grass is coming in nice.
Jim Wilson, so moved. Oh, sorry.
Maggie Carr, second.
Oh, no, give that back to Janet or Elaine. Everybody signed it.
No, no, no.
Oh, this is the new
This
one.
is another.
Oh, that's the new one, I'm
You start
sorry.
first.
Thank you. And your name
I
was?
learned my lesson to sign something first.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on 14 Hampton Road? Seeing none, will anybody from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will take a vote. All in favor of signing the certificate of compliance for 14 Hampton Road, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? It passes.
No, if I can just double check, forgive me. Should Maggie abstain because she wasn't part of the hearings or the site? I'm just not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't sign it.
Okay.
You can be part of the discussion, but,
It's that legal
fair.
stuff.
yeah,
I
don't sign it because that,
You're the legal person, Alex.
Yeah, I think she actually can sign it, but that's fine.
I'll stretch them out.
yeah, because the laws are,
I
If
think
you-
any member can
what's that?
sign, I just don't know that she.
Signing the approval is right, is all that she's signing, right?
Yeah,
She was here for that.
Right, because other people voted on it. so-
Yeah,
right.
so, okay, let her sign. She's one of us. Okay, that takes us down to Rich McCarthy. I guess we want to talk about the soccer fields, or I should say recreation land or use on conservation property at Freeman Kennedy.
Yes.
Correct.
I'd like to, and Proto's here too,
Yep.
Park and Recreation.
I
so-
see you.
So for the newer members, Richard McCarthy, Norfolk Town Planner, serving as admin support too tonight. So Wayne can get up to speed. You just started yesterday, so. In terms of what I want to discuss is there has been previous discussions about if you look on the screen behind you, this parcel here, 22-5341, land that's under the care and custody of the Conservation Commission. The idea of putting a soccer field on that piece of property while the Conservation Commission remains in terms of have control, care, and custody over it. The reason why it's twofold, potentially why it's important to me in terms of planning perspective. One is recreation is part of planning, so that's important, and in terms of providing recreational opportunities. But secondly, we had conducted a wastewater master plan study for Norfolk Town Center, and what initially was looked at as potentially feasible for a new wastewater treatment plant is the athletic fields that are adjacent to this property. And if that were to proceed forward, obviously it would significantly impact recreational fields. So part of the whole process, at least in the sewer planning of this, was that if the so Park and Recreation needs additional field space as it is. So that's aside from the sewer discussion. However, if they were able to put a field there, we would then, if the sewer project moves forward, like to explore further, putting a wastewater, the leaching field, where that field is located. And once the project was done, then there'd be a new field on top of where the leaching field is. So the objective is to provide, it would be in the short term a replacement if the sewer project went forward. If the sewer project doesn't go forward, it would just provide them an extra field, period.
Sure.
Long term, short term. If there's a sense that that's amenable to the Conservation Commission, that helps two things. One, obviously, for Park and Rec, but helps me at least from a sewer planning perspective. If that's not viable, then I have to look at other scenarios to look at, because part of the project, at least from the sewer side, is to have a no net loss in terms of impact on recreational field. So that's part of the larger project, it's part of the mission of the project. It can't negatively impact recreation.
And we're talking about 50 by 300 plus or minus still?
I thought it was 60, but.
60
Yeah.
to the road, right?
Yeah, yes, not even, there's a path that goes through
Yeah.
the land, and so it would be about 60 feet over. Rich, do you have a picture of the fields with a big white square on them? Do you have one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I just thought this might be a good visual. So that big white square is almost 50 feet, 40 to 50 feet, so wide. So if you pick that up and put the left edge along this tree line, that's how far it would go in.
Okay.
So it's a little, the 60 feet is a little bit wider, but that gives a good perspective. It's 140 feet from the property line, the yellow line. If you go straight toward the softball field, across that tarp, that's 140 feet. So to give you just perspective of how much room we're talking. So from the home plate area, yes, there you go. So that's 40 feet, so we're talking about 15 feet more than that. So if you take,
50 feet,
yep,
about 60.
yeah.
I could actually put it, if you want, I could put a square. So you said 50 by 100, right? So
No, 300.
300.
It's really, I mean, so there's a jog.
how wide?
Which end did you want it to start at?
So is north straight up? I can't. So
I think it
the
was,
if you look at
sorry,
the
confusing.
railroad tracks,
Yeah,
okay, so that's where, from that point, and if you go straight back,
straight up.
straight up. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of it like
You
I'm
have a
on
heart.
like I'm on the field, sorry. If you just go straight up, and then there's actually a jog at the very top that is property that doesn't belong to the town, so we would obviously stop there. Actually, can you,
Looks like
Conservation doesn't own that whole plot, correct? Only a section of that.
Hey.
No. They do.
That's what I'm, do we own that whole?
yeah, this whole
Conservation?
that whole
Yeah.
piece.
All right, that's,
Yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
to clarify that.
No wells can go in there.
I've got my wells, I'm all
Oh,
set,
wells.
yeah.
The well's on the other end.
No, his well. for
Yeah,
the
no,
town.
well, of course not.
Okay, so 60 feet by 300 plus or minus.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we just had the straight
Yeah,
edge, so we didn't have a jog in them
Yeah.
at the end. And the field to the far north, the end of it, I'm assuming the top is the north, that's, might be a big assumption, is really our largest and most active field. So we could actually, what it allows, if that we lengthen it, is it reduces the wear areas on fields. So that's very beneficial, so we don't have to close fields, we can move the goals, and we can not have large, it's less expensive, honestly, to just be able to move the goals and be able to do lighter maintenance in more areas rather than a lot of maintenance in one area.
and for barter, we need to talk about that at some point, right? What you're gonna
Sure.
trade us for.
I'm happy to do whatever you like.
What are you looking for?
Yeah,
Some
I don't-
house on it would be nice. 5-family, you know, works for me, that we could rent out, you know?
so for me, one large benefit to this is that because we have 140 feet of width of very playable field, we only need, and it may sound, 60 feet may sound like a lot, but in comparison, if we were to, at Pond Street, if we were to build a new field, a new grass field, or any new field at Pond Street, we would have to take down 3 acres of very large trees. And the trees that are there, it is treed, but they're very few.
They're not large
They're not
diameter
large. I mean,
trees.
there might be a few that might be 8 or 9 inches, but it's really, there's lots of room in between. And I know from that picture, because you see the leaves, it looks like it's full, but you can easily walk through that. There's really very little
It's not a dense.
wood compared to
wooded area.
anything you find over at Pond Street.
So Richard,
Yes.
would that be an area that you could use as your leach field? And how much?
Well, yeah, I mean, it
I'm
could,
just thinking, if we're gonna do something, why don't we do something that's, as far as planning goes, if that's what we're gonna use the leach field and we need more land to deforest, why don't we just do it now? It would be a lot cheaper than in the middle of a soccer season, we now have trucks going through there because you have to expand the field. So, and I think having to put a leach field on a soccer field is gonna be a lot cheaper than trying to do it on one of the baseball diamonds.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's the
Oh.
time, though, is it not the time? The leach field, that project hasn't been approved.
No.
And it's far from it, as far as I know. So I don't think there's money is there to do that. It would be smart to do it that way, but
Right.
I don't think it can be
This
done.
would be recreation money to clear it and do whatever.
Yes.
So, to your point, you're very accurate. To have those are grass fields, that field that abuts the conservation land is not an irrigated land. To the left, there's a softball field. We have 3 softball fields in town. They're fully utilized. That's probably the busiest softball field. The outfield of that softball field is the field that used to be used for football, which is an irrigated field. So there's irrigation underneath it. So, disturbing those fields, it would be,
'Cause, I mean,
if it
we're-
needs to be done, I mean, I think recreation certainly understands the importance of what is being done in town as a whole. But
even
we would
from-
like to be,
Even from a wildlife point of view, from conservation, taking some of if you deforested even more, but left it with wildflowers and that type of stuff, and then used half of it for the soccer field like you're intending, I think that mixed with the forest, the wildflowers and that type of stuff, we start getting more of like the mice and more insects, and then that increases, the bird population and all of that. And I think, because there's not a whole lot that lives in a full forest. They're eating in other places. There's, the grasses and that stuff. So if we built it a little bigger and then just used it as wild, sort of a mix between, full growth forest to, a partial with wildfires. And while you have the equipment out there, that's the time to really, really do it. And then that gives us, if we decide, 3 or 4 years from now that, we have to move fields, then it's, it's a little bit cheaper because it's just,
Flowers.
I mean, if
this
the,
needs to be mowed.
yeah, I mean, if the commission, so my initial, as we kind of thought about the sewer project, we didn't want to make presumptions in terms of where we could go and not go. So we initially looked at the recreational area. But knowing this property is on the Conservation Commission, we want to presume that could be an option. But if there was at least openness to exploring that for the wastewater, then we could investigate that area for it, and then could actually probably put
Do
another
you have the
field.
dimensions for that lot piece?
This here?
Property? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 5 acres, just under 5 acres.
Okay. What are the dimensions on the
It's
top?
520, 197, 706, 573.
So if we said, take the first 100 feet,
All the way down, all the way across?
what's the length on the left?
Just, 573.
May I just interject that
Yeah.
it does slope down, which you can kind of see there. But it is mostly where the front part is mostly flat, and then it does slope down. I don't know, I'm only mentioning it because I don't know if it makes a difference to what you're doing.
It slopes to the tracks or to the other end?
To the other end.
The other end, it slopes down.
Yeah,
So the track side is.
the
how
high side.
How
Yeah.
far off is you have to be from the tracks as well? There's gotta be a buffer from the tracks to have a field,
No
or no?
fence.
It's
You
right
can
there.
put it right up
Our
to it?
other field is
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
Field's right there.
It's about 10 feet. There's a fence, so
Okay.
So,
So if you were, I guess I would say if the sewer project has some legs to it and it gets momentum, so to speak, the next phase, at least on the sewer project, we have to do more analysis and figure out you know, what the leach field area could be based on soil types, hydrology, mounting, et cetera. So I could tell you, like, I give you a better idea. I can't tell you how big it is. At least, we looked at something around the 50,000 gallons per day range as kind of an area for it, and then based on, you know, the hydrology and the soil and the water and so forth, with how big the shape would be. But if you wanna, I mean, it's different material, but I can just show you.
Well,
I'll give you an idea, just so, you go on top of the hill. I mean, not,
Meeting house?
yeah, it's not great material up there, so, but if it refreshes, yeah, let's do it this one. We'll do the newer one and then. So that's the field right there for that plant, which is, that's roughly 30,000 square feet.
Which is 30,000
And
gallons
which is
per day.
30,000 gallons a day, just coincidentally,
Right,
it's the
so
same
you-
square footage.
yeah.
But just to give you you know, a sizing idea. So there's, I mean, I think there's a possibility to do both, basically. Essentially, there's probably the ability to do both, you know, do both, actually, without doing it.
No, I
I
think
just
it-
don't
it-
wanna make that presumption.
I think it's a good idea to have I mean, if we're doing some tree work to, you know, increase the insect population, and I think that helps. you
yeah,
know,
if we take
wildlife.
it to 100-foot width and down to 300 feet, and that gives you enough cushion at the end of the soccer field, right?
So I think when you measured it, the length on the left, closer to 500?
Yeah.
573.
Right.
Yeah. So if we did that length, and then,
That's it.
then 100 feet in, I mean, I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
Well, I'm not sure why do you need the extra 200 feet?
So we had talked about, we don't, I mean, if we had a straight line, it would be it would be a lot easier. The issue is closer to the length of the soccer field, the actual length, we need at least 300 feet
Oh, okay.
for one soccer field. If we were going to have any other field, like the end of another field, or expand the field behind it, then we would need
Okay.
more.
Okay.
So at the track side, if I'm correct, you're gonna have to square that off to make the soccer field. So at the track end, you're gonna square that across
Well,
60 feet.
How wide do you need
Right.
for a field?
You said 60 feet
so
wide.
that, so the field's going,
Well, you could just grass it.
That's what I'm saying, but that's extra feet.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to.
Just
Square it off.
Visuals.
It's much easier.
I've been
Just
watching.
go over 100 feet straight
So-
down.
So this is where you can actually see the soccer field right here, but this is not a full-size soccer field because we can't get the width in. So if this was wider, then.
How
it-
wide is it now?
Is the one on top
Yeah.
of full size?
So it's, yeah, so from here to here, that's the minimum a soccer field, a full-size soccer field has to be. So from here to here is 140. So we need 200, ideally, we need to have 200 feet, and then you have 300 feet. So the length goes, so you don't want to butt into this, but the advantage of having more space here is that when you have a field like this and you can move it back and forth, season to season, you don't have excessive wear areas, so you don't have to close it. So I'm not gonna say that more space is not, better. I can always find something to do with that space. But this field, if it became a full width field, it would also be a full length field. So we wouldn't butt into here, but we could go up to here.
So going over
So-
100 feet, the whole length there to the right,
100? Oh, yes, yes,
that would
100 feet.
serve your
Yep.
purpose,
Uh,
more than enough.
More than enough,
And
absolutely.
as long as you don't put up a playground, that's fine.
We're not
No
doing it.
structures.
No structures.
Well, that's roughly, well, more or less, that looks like about 100 feet off that other side, so it's not really,
Yeah,
and you said 300 long, right?
so,
And then if you could look to it, because, you know, you could add, you know, like your 6v6 fields on either end, if you had to put the 100 in the middle, depending on the slope of the
Well,
ground.
that's why I'm saying, you give her the whole piece there.
So this soccer field, which is, like the railroad tracks go like this, so this is also not as wide. I mean, we have this great space, but the only space that's wide enough right now to have a full-size field is that. So all of this, and this is even, it goes right up to the tree line, and it's really not, it's barely a legal field. So to have games, they measure fields, and you can't play on fields that are
Short.
even, 5 feet short. Some leagues are a little stricter than others, but it is what it is. But we do have length there, so we can put practice fields.
When would you look at starting this project?
Some of that would be dependent on when we could get money to do it, and I would have to cost it out. I did have one question. So I did get an estimate to take the trees down to ground level. I didn't get an estimate to remove the stumps yet. And I think I only went in 40 feet at that point. But one of the questions was, can they grind what they take down, or do they have to remove it?
I would think they could grind and take it over to the transfer station.
The taking out, they don't want to take it out, whether it's ground up or
Oh.
what they would probably do, they could spread it with, like mulch, spread it.
Yeah, transfer won't, DPW will not accept stumps or any of that material.
Yeah.
No.
I can speak for that right here and now that that's not gonna happen.
Yes.
So
No.
and I was actually speaking more of the actual trees that are taken down. So either they have to remove the trees, or they can grind them up and spread it like mulch.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just need to know what's allowed. It is less expensive if they don't have to remove the trees.
And they're not big enough probably for lumber, I
No.
wouldn't think.
I mean,
No.
They're not
few,
big enough in
few
there.
fire pits, they're just,
It's not,
although, yeah, and unfortunately, I was gonna say, we could take them down and cut them up and let people take it, but
Well-
it's not accessible to get a car there. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
get,
Well,
you can't
it's,
get anything there.
That's something we don't have to decide tonight.
Nope, just something to think about, but it
But
is
yeah,
something that I would
because
need to know in
that's-
pricing
yeah.
things out.
Okay.
The Lions might be able to help with a situation like that if they want to move firewood.
It's a big project.
That's a big, that'd be a lot of wood.
It all depends on if there's oaks there, if it's pine trees, it all
Yeah.
depends on what kind of trees as well.
From here, like, on the line, it looks a lot like pine.
It's pretty much piney area in that area, but I've never.
There are some wood,
There are some
hardwood, but
yeah.
It's,
hardwood,
yeah, they're
Yeah.
kind of skinny oak trees.
Not tall.
Right.
They're,
okay.
I would say they're probably more than oak trees than anything evergreen that you have to walk through. I mean, you can absolutely walk right through it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Comments?
Did we, if you don't mind me asking, did we have a vote on this already once a while back, or
No.
discussion on this at all?
We've had discussion, but we've never voted.
And we can do this? I thought that's.
We
what-
can if we retain
I'm not trying to
possession.
be
We're
negative here, but-
retaining the possession of the land,
Okay.
and it's just going grass.
Okay,
with no
so we're
structures
gonna
or
We're
anything.
gonna keep the,
It's
it's
ours.
gonna be Concom still, just gonna have a field.
So at some point, we could
Okay.
put barriers up.
For,
I could
for
build
my,
it.
Okay,
For the-
wait,
for
Donna?
Donna Jones, North Street, not in a butter. In looking at the town budget, there's been a revolving fund for conservation. Could
Yeah.
that be used for this project?
No,
Uh,
it's not our project.
At some point?
Not our project.
At some point?
Not our project.
At some point, could someone please explain what those funds are used for?
They could be used to put in new trails, to take care of the land that we own, but I wouldn't use our funds for a recreation project.
Recreation fully expects to find
the
a
money.
a source
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
money.
Sorry,
Not- and
Donna.
not
Didn't mean, I'm not mean.
We don't have that kind of funds.
Yeah, we don't, that's all the money we got.
We're talking peanuts here.
I thought it was something about having some come in and clear the land. So I guess I should go look up what the name of the fund is and get back to you.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
some
not
of them
the
are for specific pieces of property, too.
This is for recreation, clearing,
Yeah.
the recreation's doing it for a rec.
Rich?
There's the fund, but that's not for here, it's for behind the,
School.
behind all-day school.
Yeah.
Is that one, I don't know, you're not talking about that one.
No, it's not the annual budget, it's not Cundy property, it's a general hire a lumberjack, is the way I think of it.
We have,
If you could find out about that and share that with us.
the only other thing we have is the open space
to our
fund, but
trail.
that's not, which comes
Although
into
wood
the
chips that come
subdivision
out of that
developments, but
DPW
that's not
could
for this
spread 'em along
purpose.
the trails.
Well, we've already, we're denying
Get the
tree
lines.
tax.
We'll work up a deal. Okay,
Project.
So my question.
yes, sir.
If, is there potential for the sewer, the leaching field on this property too? Or not?
I don't want to address that at this time. Since your project needs to come forward a little bit more in definition and some reviews. Possibly.
Can I just
If we could
throw,
lease it,
one possibility is if you had mentioned to develop, more grass and, wildflowers and such, and David asked what recreation could contribute. So perhaps that we could figure out how to build that part as well.
Yeah, because that part,
the extra.
with orders and conditions like we've done with others, so it doesn't become wooded again,
Yeah.
there would be mowing, how often it's mowed and the type of vegetation
The
that's
school's
on
gonna
there.
love that.
But
Or
that's,
Not the
DPW.
school.
The
Yeah.
DPW.
Yeah, believe
Barry's
me,
gonna
it's
love
not the
it.
school.
Right, but,
no, that would be recreation's responsibility to maintain.
DPW's, yeah.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
maintain.
so, but the area that you're speaking of is not mowed like a field, it's like
Correct.
mowed once or twice.
Right,
As-
right.
Yeah, okay. That's,
It's,
just make sure I was thinking of the
Yeah,
right thing.
it's kept so that at some point,
Lawn.
it wouldn't be expensive to put in leach fields or expand fields or move fields if, if you had to move more field over there and less field.
We just don't want trees to start
Yeah,
growing.
saplings and
Correct,
stuff,
yeah.
we have to keep
Yeah.
at bay.
Just trying to do something that would save the taxpayers money further down the road. If we're gonna do something, we might as well plan ahead of what are we gonna use this plot for in the future and what are the possibilities to use it for, instead of just doing small plots at a time.
Yeah, be proactive.
And at the same point, the wildflowers aren't a bad thing to have.
Nope.
I've always wanted to put in a monarch butterfly area, so happy to do that.
Okay, so what's in front of us, what,
I'll just finish up and then I'll be done on my piece, how's that?
okay.
Well, there is gonna be a Zoom meeting on the 28th of October to talk about the sewer project. So what I potentially could do is maybe come back to you in December.
Talk
Talk
about
to you
it.
more and have,
Yeah, I
I'd
think-
bring the engineer with just to kind of talk it through.
Yeah, I think,
That's a
if
long-
there's a field there and all like that, yeah, taking it over, putting the sewer under, or the leaching field underneath.
What I hate to do is build a field, destroy a field, and then have to refield it again. If we could do it at the same time or kind of plan, more of what's gonna happen so that,
That
we
might be
save
the-
a lot of money.
That might be the hard part.
So I-
You're
that-
right, Jim, you're absolutely right. If the field wreck in the sewer, but
Yeah,
I don't
they're
see
not-
that.
they're
I
not,
see
no.
wreck here in the sewer, it's way down here still.
Yeah.
For them to
However-
join forces,
However, a lot could be done, and then the final part is the seeding. So even if you have to, you
It'd be
take the
way
tree.
ahead of the sewer
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
your fields will be way ahead if this goes through before that
There'll
sewer
be
project
mature
goes in.
fields.
If this goes
So-
well, I'm hoping
10
I can
years.
do it before I retire.
Yeah, yeah.
I still got quite a bit of
You're
time.
pushing it.
I'm just
So the-
saying.
the
I'm just saying
wastewater-
it's gonna- Yeah.
Is gonna, if it goes forward, most likely it's going to take some field, whatever field it is.
But at that
So
point,
if if that field is there and they use another field, we still have fields that we can go to. We're short of fields now, so with the wastewater treatment, if we could have more fields ahead of time, then it'll give us
Well, and if
a
this
little more
goes in
flexibility.
conjunction with the new DOC land too, I mean, you'll be able to probably improve that area, put more fields down there before his sewer project gets started too.
Possibly.
Yeah, there's,
I'm actually
I got-
looking to do less development, like big, taking down those massive trees is
Yeah.
gonna be hard for anyone.
Okay. All right. So the motion that is basically in front of us is to give 100 feet by 500 feet bearing on the, what's that side? Is that the east side, west side? That's the south side.
East side?
Or the side bordering the existing fields.
Yeah, that's north. Head up north, east is to the right.
Okay.
So the western?
So the western line, coming off 100 feet, the total length of the 500 feet, to let recreation use it for soccer fields. I'll entertain a motion for that. And it'll still be under conservation.
So in 100, Dave, and the whole length,
Yep.
576 on this side, whatever the other side equals,
Yeah.
100 feet in.
Yep. Does that sound reasonable?
As long as Ann does what she says she's gonna do.
Alex, any legal opinion?
Sounds reasonable to me. I'll make the motion as you stated.
Okay. We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Jim Olson, second.
Okay, any further discussion? So the motion on the floor is to allow recreation to go over 100 feet from the current tree line for the full length of 25?
576.
576
Plus or minus.
plus or minus, and over 100 feet plus or minus in back of the Freeman Kennedy School. Is there a lot number on that?
Yep, so
So we
map
can,
22, map 22, well, 22, 53, 41.
okay, for Elaine, so we mark it down.
So Dave, did you wanna say 100 feet from the existing property line, not tree line, correct? I'm just
Well, there's
being a little more
really-
technical here, because the tree line is, I think, in their property already.
Yeah. Yeah, from the property line.
Well, it's just,
And yeah, so we noted what map and all that, so it's
Yeah.
on, so that parcel. Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor of providing recreation with some land off of Freeman Kennedy, approximately 100 feet by 576 plus or minus? And that map number for that piece of parcel? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. And then, yeah, we'll work with you when it gets closer, and maybe there are things that can be done to help, take off on the cost.
If you start looking at the field layout, whatever is less expensive, if it needs to move, or, maybe not take the stuff at the top of the bottom and need to go more interior, then we could come back and talk about that. So that, you're not having to dig in a whole bunch and put up retaining walls to put in a field, so we don't wanna have to do that. Yeah. Just
The reason
as-
I can't do it because this is really very flat. and
Dry.
very- And dry and not, and it's treed, but it's very light treed.
Yep.
gain it, and the least destructive to land, they gain it a lot. I mean, they gain it full-size soccer fields.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
glad to help you out.
No,
You're welcome. All right, last thing is Rich. Do we have a time limit on this one?
Oh, great. Well, so anyway, I'll time myself, keep it concise as I can. So, I went before the advisory board last week to discuss the floodplain zoning bylaw that proposed for town meeting in the fall to be changed, and one of the members was a former commissioner, thought I should come see you folks to talk about it. And so that's why I'm here, to do that. The reason why we have to make changes to our floodplain bylaw is that throughout the country, there's been a push through FEMA to look at local and county, regional, at least the regulatory scheme relative to the floodplain. And the Department of Conservation and Recreation is the one who administers the program for the state of Massachusetts. They developed a model bylaw, and they pushed it out to the cities and towns that they want them to make changes in conjunction with their model bylaw. What we decided to do, what I recommended actually to the planning board, was to take our existing bylaw and add in what was deficient in terms of the model bylaw from the state, and that's what I put together to go before town meeting. A few reasons why we need to do that. If we don't make these changes, then they would take the town of Norfolk out of the flood insurance program. So it would be pretty devastating to those who rely on flood insurance. So we need to do that. We need to do that this year, and then next year we'll have to come back. There'll be a proposed map change for Norfolk.
So you need engineering to do this?
No, it was, the engineering in terms was all done through FEMA. They hired the engineers to do this analysis. They've put out, and I know Jan's reviewed it too, some updates to the floodplain maps. Those aren't final yet. The floodplain maps will be pushed out. They're out there now if you want to look at them, but the final versions of them, we expect to get them in December, and then we have 6 months to adopt them. Otherwise, we could be out of the program. So there are really two pieces to this. So we took a blended version. There is some changes to it. The significant change, which I think, and I know Janet does too, because she's not too excited.
Keep going.
So the first page is pretty simple. It's just add some more purpose provisions to the bylaw. There's nothing
But this
too
is,
complicated.
This is the version from, what, the state or from?
This is I call it the blended version, basically. So
No,
in
but the new stuff, that's from whom?
from the state, yeah.
State?
So what I did is, strike through, bold, that's new language, but really the meat and potatoes of it, which is right here, to me, at least. So in discussions between our department, Jan didn't have a lot of discussion. We kind of really,
Left her out, yeah.
we left her, no, we didn't leave her out, but we should. She was the natural fit for what's happening in this bylaw, which is to be the floodplain administrator. One of the changes that we need to do in terms of the bylaw is to have somebody designated as the floodplain administrator. So before this, it was handled through the building department because it was.
How much time is that gonna require?
I don't know yet, so we're gonna have to wait and see.
So I wouldn't want something to state the conservation agent is gonna be responsible for this until we know what the kind of time limit.
Not responsible or responsible?
Responsible. If the conservation agent is responsible for this, what allocation of time is it gonna take for to be administered?
Yeah. So we're gonna have to, that's the hard
The hard part.
The hard part is really try to quantify it in terms of the role, in terms of the floodplain administrator. Which is this section here, which basically says that if you're if you're within a floodplain and you wanna pave your driveway, you need to get a permit.
Which is under our bylaws anyways.
In terms of, if it's jurisdictional, it'll be coming through to you, but if it's not jurisdictional, that would be a different case. I mean, most of the stuff that's within the floodplain would be coming to you anyway as the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission. So I'm not really sure how much impact that really would have at the bottom line, because, I don't know, I don't know. And that, I wish I had a better answer, in that, so we're
Yeah,
gonna.
we need to know if it's, what's already existing is coming through the commission anyway,
Yeah,
then that's one thing, as opposed to things that may not come through the commission, that may not be near wetlands, but are in a floodplain. Now if they don't even come to us, now our agent is going to a ZBA meeting.
no,
For a
so
floodplain
in terms
or-
of the permit, it would be internal, so it would be administered through the office, so we have to develop a permit. Somebody would have to apply for this floodplain permit, and then it would be administered through the office. So it wouldn't have to go, to a meeting, other meetings. So in terms of this permit that I'm talking about, this strictly, so for example, you want to put a fence up and it's a floodplain, you gotta go get a permit. Now, it might be jurisdictional, it might not be. So if it's jurisdictional, it's a non-issue. But the thing that's challenging for this, that's being pushed down and this is across the board, is not all fence, you don't need a permit for a fence, so it's kinda hard to
Right.
really monitor to see if somebody's
Exactly.
doing this stuff.
Right.
So it's one thing at the top level, pushing this down through the, again, pushing
To
it
the
down
local.
through the local level that we have to administer this. It's kinda hard to know for sure, so there's gonna be growing pains, and I don't have a good, I wish I had a better answer. It doesn't matter who it is, if it was Janet, myself, or Bob, somebody's gotta do this. This is being pushed, like literally pushed down to us.
Yeah.
As part of the new requirements, and it's hard, honestly, it is hard to, another thing is a shed, right? So not all sheds need a permit, so, and we're not gonna we can't go stomping on somebody's private property either, so we'll do what we can, but, there's a point where, we're not gonna be going around looking for fences and sheds necessarily, but that is to me, that's the meat of the real,
Okay.
not the great part about it. The rest of it is is more or less, it's pretty straightforward in terms of, some different language that we need to put in there.
More boilerplate type of
It's more
stuff.
boilerplate, yeah.
So,
I see wetlands being crossed out all over the place there. What's the purpose of that? Why? does
So
that
the
have to
reason
be
why we're
removed?
crossing out, because it is a floodplain bylaw, so it's just strictly, it doesn't impact wetlands at all. You have your general wetland bylaw, so that's your jurisdiction, remains the place. We also have the watershed zoning bylaw that's in there, but not to confuse anybody, that this is a floodplain bylaw,
Okay.
that's the purpose of it. And it's still the same things that are by prohibited, the things that are allowed by right, and then by special permit, all that remains, so that's all in there.
Okay.
But really, the punchline to this is that permit that's there.
do we have a floodplain map and able to determine what percentage of the housing this would affect
So it did,
in town?
so DPW did do they took the GIS mapping that we had and used the floodplain, and it looks like there's probably about 31 structures that are within the floodplain. So
So we're not talking,
it's not
Not the whole town.
No, it's not the whole town, so it's, you're within the floodplain, so most people, if you already know you're in the floodplain, so most likely, so you already had.
and what percent of those people would come out of our jurisdiction anyway?
They probably do, I don't know,
So that's. I
so
mean,
I'm not sure it's that big of a deal when you boil it down, because I think they'll be before you anyway. I mean, they coincide with each other, so it's kinda, a little, to a degree, everything that, so far I've been here, the floodplain, they've been before you. I mean, I know that stuff, we had, for example, River Road, I remember 60 River Road.
Riverfront area, land subject to flooding.
What's
Yeah,
that?
60
Probably
River Road.
riverfront area or land subject to flooding. so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably jurisdictional.
Mirror
We had-
Lake, River Road, there's a few places that probably
And
fall
we
in.
had the pool on Union Street, and then we had the pool, but you weren't in a floodplain.
No,
The
right.
other pool on Union Street was in a floodplain.
Yeah, so it kinda, I mean,
Yeah, so it's,
kinda more or less, I don't think it's gonna be that large of an issue, cause it should coincide, we don't, you know, I think if our not geology, but our, you know, the land and shape and so forth, it might be a different case, but,
I think the bigger thing is, what you're talking about is a lot smaller projects are coming to us that would never come to us before. That's the issue, fencing,
I agree, yeah.
especially fencing. Fencing and
Yeah.
sheds are usually not an issue someone gets a permit for.
No, I don't blame, so what I've been tasked in terms of, from the planning board, is I have to take this bylaw and then identify those people who would be subject to this in terms of this new bylaw and send them the bylaw with this, with a letter, in terms of the letter.
Before the town meeting?
Yeah, so,
Could you scroll back to that, those two controversial paragraphs you had?
paragraph, sure, yeah.
Thanks.
I'm talking 1 and 2? Is that
Well, the
what that
two
number-
bullet, yeah, the two bullet, that's new text, in terms of,
Mhm.
That might increase flooding or adversely impact. So it's like putting in a fence, how much is that gonna really impact it? I don't think,
Right.
you know?
Well, it depends what kind of fence.
Right. If you're
Yeah.
pouring cement, it's one thing.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it goes down to that, the percentage of disturbed soils in a riverfront that's allowed. So if you're at 100%, you can't add a fence because it's
Already
taken,
maxed
you
out.
already used the 100% that you can disturb.
Yeah.
So if you're at 50%, a fence isn't an issue. It's when you're at, like the one on Union was very close to putting in a pool because they
Yeah.
had disturbed the driveway, they had added another garage, and they expanded their house and a patio, so by the time the pool came in, it's like, wait a minute, you've got an old map without these additions, so, you know, normally fence, it just depends, if there's, I mean, 60 River Road went and borrowed, you can borrow footage from your neighbor, so get the neighbor
Yeah.
to sign off that he wasn't gonna build on it, and he took his footage and used it on his house, on his property, so the problem then becomes the people that are very close, and we had a carport come in
Yeah.
that was at 100%. We had told them they couldn't put up sides, they had to keep it gravel, and let them put in 4 fence posts that were only like 6 inches around, and that was it, so.
Wasn't that the Union Street pool?
No.
Oh, no, this
No, that was over
a
on
few years
River
ago.
Road,
Yeah, 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, no.
He had a carport as well, where he had a lean-to thing coming up.
So,
I think you're all kinda making the point that they seem to be all be before you anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Okay.
Janice just don't need any more work, she's got enough as it is.
well, I know.
It ties in with flood, and not this, but I just have to say this, if you ever look at the flood maps, and over there on, behind Campbell Forest, Alice, you look at the flood map, and they'll have this wide thing going, and it's like hitting the edge of the table, it stops.
Yeah, just abruptly stops.
Spring, I think it's Spring Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those people are not in the flood zone, and even the flood guy was in, and I talked to him about it, it's like, that's as far as they did their detailed study. It's like,
Really?
Yeah.
so, you know, to nit and complain
Nitpick.
about somebody's fence when
Yeah.
you've got big areas that just don't exist seems,
we've used common sense too, when, you know, they may be able to put in a chain link fence, but not a wooden 6-inch fence.
Right.
If they're at full disturb, so I
Yeah.
think we're gonna have to, you know,
Good judgment.
yeah, I mean, we've allowed, like the carport, they were at full, but as long as you only disturb it a little bit more, then, you know, yeah, you gotta use, they need something to cover their boat, I think, it was pine trees and, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't that they wanted to add another pool or another gazebo or something like that, it was,
I think it was to protect the car
yeah,
from the set,
Yeah.
but,
So,
okay.
so I just, again, it was a good idea to come, let you know about,
Informative, yeah.
what we're doing.
But it's only restricted to one person, because before the write-up, it was like zoning board and building inspector or whatever else.
Yeah,
Now they
well, that
just-
was another issue, that there was too many cooks in the kitchen too, in terms
So
of.
it's consolidated to one person.
Yeah, in terms of the enforcement, still remains, it is a zoning bylaw, so enforcement of it is the building commissioner, because this is a zoning bylaw, but as far as the administration under this, that's the,
Okay.
so,
You get your saw, Janet, they
That's
put in
it.
the wrong
That's-
trench and you start cutting them down.
Did good,
I did all right, right?
You
Not too
did.
bad.
15 minutes.
We don't have to vote on it, though.
15?
No?
No, there's no
Just
voting,
informal.
it's just informative.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Double
There was one more thing, I do have the minutes from the 2 meetings. Did you want to sign off on them?
But did
Or
you,
wanna wait?
but did they get him to read it?
I
I
have-
haven't seen them.
could you resend those?
One's pretty short, because you didn't have enough.
Right, the last one
Yeah.
we moved.
Yeah, if you could resend those minutes to us, and then we'll vote on them next month.
Okay.
There you
I think that's the first time we haven't had a quorum in, I don't know, years.
Yeah.
But now that we're a full board, next month, it'll put us
That's
in a good
great.
position, yeah. Keep us going. Anything anybody else wants to bring up? Any other topics?
Maybe one of the new members could have the responsibility of texting Alan like half hour before the meeting.
Well, I honestly, if I had known there was all these new members, I wouldn't have came at all. I would have said I was sick. But I'm here, Dave.
Yeah,
I wanted to see you, Ed. I've been missing you.
thank you.
We're good.
So we got the-
All right, so I will entertain a motion
Thanks,
to
Jim.
adjourn.
Maggie Crow, motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Maybe I won't
Aye.
take the responsibility.
Opposed? We're closed.